Okay.
Okay. Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm just going to repeat a couple of the rules. You'll have 2 minutes for an introduction.
Okay.
Karen Whitehurst will give you timer cards for 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and a hard stop time. No commentary about other candidates are in order for this forum, and you'll be able to choose a card which will dictate which question you get,
Okay.
1 through 8. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, wonderful. 2 minutes for an introduction from Tom Durham.
Well, my story about how I came to Scottsdale, I think is always very interesting. I was the trustee of a small college in Iowa where I went to college. And in 2013, we always have our winter meeting in a location that's warm. It's better than cold of Iowa. And we usually do it in Florida, but in 2013 we came here, and I brought my wife. I hadn't been to Arizona since high school. My grandfather lived in Mesa, and I used to go there every year and ride horses in the pasture in his back. And we came here, spent a long weekend, and thought, well, this is really cool. It was in the middle of the winter, and so we were glad to get out of Chicago. I lived in Chicago. And within a couple of months, we had a contract to build a house. And as soon as I retired in 2015, we came here. My career, I was a lawyer in Chicago. I was a tax controversy lawyer, which meant I fight with the IRS. That's what I did for 35 years. I retired in 2015. And as soon as I retired, we came down here to our new house. So being a lawyer has been a big help on the city council because it helps me to understand contracts, also helps me to understand some of the legal issues that we face on the city council. In my volunteer time here, I'm a mock trial coach at Sandra Day O'Connor High School, and that's really important. I've been doing that close to 10 years, ever since we moved here, and it's a lot of fun to work with the young people.
Okay, Tom, thank you so much for your response. And I'm going to have you draw a card for one of your 8 questions, and we'll begin.
Okay.
Oh, it's on the other side. I see it.
Number 2.
Great. Can you put that back in?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, question 2. Short-term rentals have been a hot-button topic in Scottsdale for a long time. What is your stance on short-term rentals, and what would you propose to do differently if elected, if anything?
Well, I've been a very, very strong opponent of short-term rentals. I think it's the single biggest problem we have in Scottsdale because, I just can't imagine living in a house, buying a house, trying to raise a family, and, having garbage next door, late night parties, drinking, screaming, loud music. I get a lot of emails about that, and they're kind of heartbreaking, really, because they're people who just want to live a quiet life in their homes, and they feel that they're being driven out of their homes. I've talked to many people, heard from many people who are thinking of moving out of Scottsdale because they just can't take it anymore. So it's one thing that I've worked really hard on. It's been one of my main priorities on the city council. I worked with our lobbyists and our city staff and also the town of Paradise Valley to try to convince the legislature to give us more power. As many of you probably know, the legislature prevents us from limiting short-term rentals. We'd love to do that. We'd love to shut down the abusive short-term rentals, but the legislature won't let us. So what we've done, and I've worked with our city staff and lobbyists in Paradise Valley, is to talk the legislature into giving us more power. And 2 years ago, I think we were able to do that. We were able to get more power to regulate short-term rentals, to get them registered, and to shut down abusive short-term rentals. Right now, it's 3 strikes and you're out. After 3 abusive nuisance party violations, we can shut you down. But to me, that's way too many. 3 is just, that's 3 ruined nights for your neighbors. So that what we want to do on the council, and we created a task force to work on this, is to put even more pressure on the legislature. What we'd like to do is to put a cap on the number of short-term rentals, and we'd also like to put in some density regulations, because right now, especially in South Scottsdale, there are too many places where there are 2 or 3 or 4 short-term rentals that are right together. And we'd like the ability to, if we're going to have short-term rentals at all, and the legislature's probably going to force us to, then we'd like to spread them out a little bit more. I'm also concerned there was a new provision the legislature just passed, and unfortunately the governor signed it, which allows more accessory dwelling units in backyards. And I'm afraid that that could lead to even more short-term rentals, because it will allow more people to build casitas or temporary housing in the backyard, and that would allow more people to rent those out. So that's a bill which really concerns me. We opposed it. I signed a letter opposing it, and I'm afraid that it'll lead to even more problems. So the city's going to have to write regulations on how that's going to work, and I'm hopeful we'll be able to put in some strong regulations to prevent too much abuse on that.
Thank you so much. Please draw another question.
Number 4.
Okay. Question 4. Road diets. He's excited. Road diets have been a controversial subject in Scottsdale recently. Please explain your take on road diets and how you plan to handle road diets if elected to City Council.
There's been a tremendous amount of nonsense on road diets. It's just total nonsense. I read a Twitter yesterday that I was in favor of 20 road diets in Scottsdale, and that's just ridiculous. We're not going to have 20 road diets. I also read the same Twitter said that I wanted to get rid of cars, and so I want to narrow the roads in order to force people out of their cars and onto bicycles. And that's just crazy. I live up far north, and there's no way I'm going to ride my bicycle down to city council meetings. So I'm going to continue riding my car. I mean, the truth is that we've passed only one road diet. And the facts are the people in that neighborhood asked us for it. They came to the city and said, we'd like to make this road safer. And the city engineers went out to a public meeting, and the people at the public meeting said, yeah, we want you to do something about this road. That road was 68th Street, and 68th Street had 3 times the number of accidents as the average road in Scottsdale. And it was in the top 7% of accidents per mile. So it was a dangerous road, even though it's kind of a low volume road. And the reason it was dangerous is because there was a transition from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. As you went north, it transitioned from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. And as you were going south, it went from 4 to 2. And as people reached that transition, they would start speeding, they would start whipping around each other. And several cars had actually left the road, run into neighbors' yards, done damage to fences and so on. And this was all about safety. We're safety first in the city council, and this road was a dangerous road because of the alignment, had a very high level of accidents, and the people there wanted us to fix it. So, you know, my rules on road diets are, number one, the people in the area have to be in favor of it. Number two, it has to make the road safer. And number three, there has to be sufficient room on the road. This particular road was operating at 35% capacity, which meant there was plenty of room to narrow it down to one lane, which most of our streets in Scottsdale are two-lane roads. And so there's plenty of room on a two-lane road because the traffic on this road was so low. And there was a lot of nonsense about, oh, the police and the fire aren't going to be able to get through this road. And that was just more nonsense because, you know, I had the fire chief and the police chief in front of the council, and I asked them, if we narrow this, are you going to be able to get through and provide service? And they said, yeah, of course. You know, we've got great drivers. We can drive across painted lines. And that's all this was painted lines on the road. And believe me, the police and the firemen, they're going to be able to cross over a painted line. So this is the only road diet that we have voted on, and it's the only road diet that we're thinking of voting on. So this nonsense about we're going to put road diets all over Scottsdale and we're going to force you out of your cars onto bicycles, it's just nonsense political talking points.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. There's no closing statement, but we appreciate your involvement.